World Chaos. The 8 definitive theories about what might have happened if Germany won the Second World War. The 2nd of September 1945. Following the news of Adolf Hitler's suicide and Germany's subsequent surrender to the Allied forces, World War II would come to a definitive end. After the explosion of the American atomic bomb in Nagasaki, Japan accepts its defeat and with it writes the final chapter of the bloodiest war in history. But what would have happened if none of this had happened? What would the world have been like if Germany had not lost the war? What would have happened if Hitler had continued to pull the strings of planet Earth? Here are some dystopian scenarios of what the world might be like if Hitler, after winning the war, positioned Nazi Germany as the world's leading power. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and remember to turn on notifications. Enjoy the best historical and war content on Now We Do. The 8 definitive theories about what could have happened if Germany won World War II. Number 1. Racism as the world order. We don't know for sure what measures would have been taken, but if Nazi Germany were to impart its bigotry-ridden ideology around the world, it would probably have become an even more hostile place than it is today. While we cannot attribute to Nazism all the racist behavior that has spread across planet Earth over the centuries, the consequences of a Nazi mandate spread over the decades are unimaginable. Number 2. The world at the feet of Germany and Japan. As the 21st century progresses, we can determine that countries such as the United States, Russia, and China are the world's major powers. Although in the current ranking, Japan and Germany have distinguished places, the fact is that, had they won the war, they would be the undisputed major powers. Behind them, countries such as Italy and Spain would have taken advantage to gain economic ground on the international scene. Number 3. United States and small states. Surely the United States would not be the superpower we all know today. In the year 2023, the United States has an annual budget for its armed forces of approximately $870 billion. In addition, its military consists of just under 2 million people, and its marvelous weapons technology is world-renowned. None of this would exist, however, if Germany, with the help of Japan, had succeeded in invading the United States. In fact, it would be the Nazi army that would surely claim one of the best armed forces in the world. However, if Germany had won the war, but still failed to conquer the United States, Hitler's supremacy would still have been able to defeat American attempts to overthrow the Nazi Empire. Number 4. A world without Jews. The numbers indicate that if Nazism had won the war and continued on its path of expansion to become a power, it would probably have wiped out the entire world's Jewish population. It is estimated that before 1939, when the Nazi Holocaust began, there were approximately 16 million Jews in the world. However, it is important to note that most of these people were in Europe. In the 6 years of World War II, the Nazis murdered 6 million Jews, which is approximately 40%. Thus, if the Axis succeeded, there would be no Jews on the face of the earth today. By way of an interesting fact, more than 70 years after the end of the Second World War, the Jewish population has managed to reach 14 million inhabitants, thus approaching the number it had before the Shoah. Number 5. German, the world language. One of the things Hitler longed for most was to spread his ideology, culture, and customs around the world. Because of this, if Germany won the war, Britain and France would probably have been his property, and today both these countries and their colonies would be speaking German. Today, English, Mandarin, Chinese, and Hindi occupy the top 3 positions of most spoken languages around the world. French is ranked 5th, while German is ranked 12th. If Hitler achieved his long-cherished desire for expansion, we would have the German language competing neck and neck with English in the top positions. Number 6. The plans of Nazism. In the book Visions of Victory, the author, Gerhard L. Weinberg, developed a theory based on the notes of war chiefs in which they developed the ideas they planned to carry out in the future if success were to accompany them. According to the author, throughout the pages of his work, these are the things that could have happened if the Axis triumphed during this bloody struggle. Hitler envisioned a Third World War, followed by a fourth until the conquest of the whole world was achieved. One of the first steps Nazism planned to take after achieving its first objective was to continue the annexation of countries. After having invaded nations such as Poland, Belgium, and the Netherlands, the next stage was planned for Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and the German-speaking part of Switzerland. In turn, expansion through Poland would have extended across the Soviet Union to 70 degrees east longitude, and the whole region would have become a great reservoir of slave labor. Even Japan was included in these plans, as the rest of Soviet territory would have been temporarily handed over to it. In addition, Benito Mussolini would have allowed them to acquire land bordering Italy. Another intention linked to territorial extension was to retain control of France and to acquire control of Britain and Ireland. Hitler also wanted to turn Spain and Portugal into satellite states. He also wanted to restore the colonies lost during World War I in sub-Saharan Africa. On the African continent, Adolf Hitler sought to create a pro-Nazi South Africa and to annihilate the entire black race in nearby countries. The Führer saw Italy as a possible permanent ally, but not Japan. Thus, after the Japanese state had helped them conquer China, the Eastern Soviet Union, Southeast Asia, Australasia, the Central Pacific and the United States, it would surely have fallen into their clutches as well, becoming the conquered conqueror. Number 7. Nazism as a religion. During his rule, Hitler attempted to create a religion to replace the Catholic Church. Had he won a victory, Germany would probably have been able to deploy this new belief across the globe. In 1935, while Hitler was already German Chancellor, Heinrich Himmler, later commander of the Nazi SS, established the Deutsches Ahnenerbe, the Society for the Study of the Ancient History of the Spirit. Its official aims were to research the territorial scope and spirit of the Germanic race, to rescue and restore German traditions, and to spread traditional German culture among the population. One of their top priorities was to destroy Christianity and thus usher in an authentic religion for Nazism. To this end, they created new pagan holidays, the commemorations of which coincided with the festivals celebrated by Christianity. In fact, the day on which Christmas was celebrated and the birth of Jesus was remembered was changed to Sol Invictus, a day on which the sun was to be revered. They also replaced Easter with a festival called Ostara, which was intended to mark the arrival of spring and to commemorate the goddess of fertility. Other rituals of this religion included getting married in front of a gigantic black flag decorated with various Nazi symbols. The basic requirement for the wedding was that both persons had to be able to prove the Aryan purity of their blood. As a wedding gift, the guests were often given copies of Adolf Hitler's autobiographical book, My Struggle. In this way, Germany today would probably find itself worshipping the Ahnenerbe, and its values would be scattered in every country in the world. Number 8. The shocking theories of historians. In 2019, the Second International History Festival took place, in which different unconventional lectures were held. In one of them, different historians were invited to formulate their theories about what would have happened if Nazi Germany had not been defeated in 1945. According to one of the speakers, Carlos Alberto Patino, racism would have been a normal regime, and there would have been a team to eliminate anyone who did not belong to Nazi Germany. Afterwards, another of the event's hosts, Andres Molano Rojas, presented the following list, in which he presented various scenarios put forward by different historians. There would be a European Union with a Britain totally excluded. The world could have been plunged into a probably short European Cold War, which would have ended in an encore World War II. The world would be dominated by Germany, the United States and Japan. Decolonization would have been much slower, and even many parts of the world would now be colonies. World ideology would be oriented to the right, steeped in republicanism and subject to enormous influences that would press to move towards the extremes. By contrast, the left would be a marginal and utterly confined space. Latin America would be far more irrelevant globally than it is today. Christian civilization would have been the victim of the worst blow in history, its values brutally extinguished. This was a new episode of Eternity. And you, what do you think would have happened if Germany won World War II? Tell us in our comments box. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also remember to give us a like and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next videos. Also, if you liked it, don't forget to share it on your social networks.